Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot Nibelink. I'm the creator of Apples and Genos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. And in this podcast, Blake and I are going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend, a man who has sent me 2 text messages in the past week intended for his wife. It's Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Those were intended for you. All right. All
Oh, now
right.
I feel a lot worse about the picture.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I just wanted you to check out the new boxer shorts that I had and just give me your honest opinion of them. And you didn't get back to me. First off, you left me on red, which I hate. All right, Nate, what did you think of the boxer shorts? Come on.
I think you could probably make an adequate tent out of them. That's all I'll say.
It's inappropriate. All right, this is a family podcast, Nate. Damn it. But that's fine. I feel good, buddy. Excited. I was just saying to you, I love this show in particular, our Waiver Wire show, one of my favorites. We're going to get to biz and we're going to do it very soon. We got actually a good streaming week coming up here, don't we?
We've got a great streaming week coming up. I'm excited to dig into that. But before we get there, we have a lot of newsies to get through, Blake. So I'm gonna hand it off to you for that.
Newsies! We do that over here. We talk about the news and it feels right. All right. Let's go over to Vancouver Canucks. Oh, God, this is terrible. Brock Besser injured with a high hit from the ultimate dingus, Tanner Jeannot, in Thursday's game. It didn't return. Jeannot has been subsequently suspended for 3 games. So, yeah, just a really stupid play. I hate stuff like this. Really no need for that hit, but that's kind of the type of player that Jeannot is. So, whatever. So he's suspended 3 games. Besser, we don't have an update on his status yet, but it didn't look good. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses a little bit of time, probably a concussion, right? Yeah, it took a shoulder right to the head. So that show ain't no good. Thank you for your service, Tanner Jeannot. Let's move on over to Toronto. Austin Matthews. Yeah. He's still injured. The Leafs put him on injured reserve retroactively. So he's going to miss Saturday's game here as well against the Habs, which really stinks because I have him in the listener league where I'm getting absolutely demolished by our listeners. I'm 0-4 in that league. It's embarrassing. All right, Nate. There's no comeback. These guys are ripping me in the Discord, and they should. And I got no comeback for that. There's nothing. So the only comeback is, getting a dub on the board here. But anyways, I have Austin Matthews. He's out for the entire week. So thank you for your service, Austin Matthews. Thank everybody for the service. All right, but Matthews especially, that's fine. He'll be back for Tuesday. I think that's the first game he can return. So yeah, actually, the Leafs power play been cooking without Matthews, haven't they, Nate?
Yeah, unbelievably, all it took to get the Leafs power play going was to get their best goal scorer off of it. So yeah, figure that one out.
It's weird, man. These players that have, we've talked about it before with like a gravity of their own. You have to sort of mold your play style, to sort of suit another player like Matthews, the best goal scorer probably in the game today. So without him, yeah, maybe some creativity is opened up for them. Marner's looked really good out there as well. So shout out to him. He's on a revenge tour. Anyways, let's move on over to Detroit. Alex Lyon was supposed to get the start here tonight, which is Friday, but he ended up with a lower body injury, wasn't able to play that. They've called up Ville Husso. Cam Talbot took the L tonight, but just stay tuned on Alex Lyon. He's one of our zero-G heroes, although Detroit, the other shoe's going to drop at some point here, and these guys are going to start getting shelled on the regular. Book it. Over to Philly. Matvei Michkov, healthy scratch on Thursday. Did anybody see this coming, Nate? I mean, I don't know. Who's the coach over there in Philly?
Yeah, it's John somebody, right?
Johnson. Yeah. He does that. It's part of the Tortorella plan. He's getting torted on left and right. That's fine. Matvei Michkov. Why not, just bench, healthy scratch, your best offensive player. It makes total sense to me, but it's all part of the development plan. So anyways, this is one of the big reasons I was out on Matvei Michkov this year. Not because of the player. Obviously, he's got an amazing acumen. He's going to be great. But yeah, Torts is unpredictable. And, this maybe is a good thing for in real life. I mean, that's debatable. But yeah, it certainly stinks for fantasy. So anyways, and this reminds me, that trade I had on the table, Hyman, he took Sidney Crosby and Mitchkov. What are you doing? This was on the table. You knew that was coming. Anyways, I'm still pissed off at my couple league mate there. That's fine. Let's move on to Washington. Jacob Chikrin is really close to returning. There was thought that he could return here on Friday night, first game of the back-to-back, but they ended up holding him out of there. He did play, in a non-contact jersey in Caps practice. Sorry, he shed the non-contact jersey in Caps practice, so he could play here on Saturday night. So just be ready to put him back in your lineup. I think he's, still a really good fantasy asset, as a third or fourth defenseman. I think he could do some stuff on that wagon of a team, the Capitals. What the hell? Over to Seattle, Vince Dunn. He's nearing a return, I guess. But, I wrote that news before we got some information from GM Ron Francis, where he said he's still about 3 weeks away. So, yeah, temporary expectations there. But, I wanted to get your thoughts here, Nate, on Vince Dunn. What kind of asset do we have here in Vince Dunn when he does return, with Brandon Montour kind of taking the reins there in Seattle?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about what it might have been versus what it might be now. Like, since Dunn has been out, Montour really has taken a huge share of that power play, and really kind of dominated minutes as well, even strength, everything. Again, in the game tonight, he got the vast majority of their. It looks like they only had the one power play, but he played a minute 26 of that. So again, really does seem like Montour has like consolidated all the power play time for himself, which is obviously really good, and ups his potential. But what does that mean for Dunn when he's healthy? Do they immediately like say, okay, now we're back to split units? I don't know. But the thing is, like, Vince Dunn is very efficient at even strength as well. He's not a big time shooter. He's probably not going to score as many goals as a guy like Brandon Montour will, but he can be pretty efficient and get to like a 50-point pace when he's back, even if he's getting reduced power play time. I think that's within the realm of possibility. So still have some love for Dunn when he gets back, even if Montour does hang on to a pretty significant power play share.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we talked about this before, but you did a really good pod in the preseason about kind of these second-tier defensemen, right? People that don't really need power play one to still provide value for your team. And yeah, I think you could throw Vince Dunn in that bucket as well. I think, 50-point pace makes sense for me, even if he's not on power play one. So yeah, definitely get him in your lineup. When he does return, it's going to be 3 weeks away. Also, Philip Grubauer had an unfortunate accident at home, and he's day-to-day. But, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got an amazing picture here that someone in our Discord posted at what they thought was the unfortunate accident. It's the scene from Something About Mary where Ben Stiller, gets the Franks above the beans. Nate, have you seen this movie?
I have not. No.
This is insane. You see what I'm working with here, people. All right. But he hasn't seen Something About Mary. Oh, my God. Damn. Well, basically, I'll give you the Coles notes here, Nate. He was really excited. He was going to, Cameron Diaz was this, this Mary who he was really excited about. And yeah, he went to the bathroom before he was taking her to the prom. And then he zipped up really too fast. And he got, it got all jumbled down there. The Frank was above the beans. Or no, the beans were above the Frank, right? That's the Frank should be above the beans, everybody. I do know that. All right. But yeah, anyways, shout out to you, Nate. Get a date night going and watch Something About Mary. This is a no-brainer. What are you doing?
I think the list of movies that I have to watch now from like the late 80s and early 90s,
this was in
from your era, is probably exceeding my viewing capacity at this point. I have to watch hockey at some point, Blake.
Listen, all right. Forget hockey, all right? You need to get on these movies, all right? This is an incredible movie. You're missing out. Anyways, shout out to Something About Mary, all right? And shout out to Nate. All right, let's move on. Grubauer's day-to-day. That was the point of that segment. All right, let's keep going here. Mason Marchment of the Dallas Stars, he's a game time decision for Saturday's game. So obviously I think he's a really valuable member of that line. He's not getting the production really, but he's the guy sort of bringing the puck into the zone and then letting, Matt Duchene cook with Tyler Seguin there. So I think he's a bit of an unsung hero on that line. So definitely a valuable player for them. Maverick Bourque has been keeping a spot warm on that line with those two players. So keep an eye on Mason Marchment. Back to Vancouver here. Dakota Joshua is nearing a return as well. He was dealing with testicular cancer and surgery. So he's looking good. He's getting close to return here. And I think that this guy is, this only matters in bangers leagues, but I think he should be added in a bangers league, right? This is a guy that's going to have big time hits. And I think he's going to have 20 goal potential, like true 20 goal potential. This guy's, he's not just a beefer. He's a beefer with cheese. All right. And the cheese are the goals. Are you getting the reference here, Nate?
I'm understanding. I'm capturing what you're putting down.
Thank you. Oh my God, you're a very perceptive person, and that's what I like about you, Nate. All right. But yeah, Dakota Joshua coming back. I think he's gonna, be a third liner, a penalty killer, big time hits. So definitely check him out there in your bangers leagues. Over to San Jose, Jake Wallman. There's drama. There's drama in San Jose with Jake Wallman. He's got an upper body injury right now, so he's missing games. But there was also a report that came out where Ryan Warsofsky, the head coach there, said that there's some other stuff going on there. He was injured, but also before the injury, he was scratched for non-hockey related reasons. And the quote that he gave was, "No one is bigger than the team. We're about the team and getting better as an organization, our culture, our standards." And that's all he wanted to say about that. So that doesn't sound good. But again, that's all the information we have. So that could be a multitude of things. That could be, he missed the team meeting like Kevin Fiala, or, he's like blowing up in the dressing room, by losing power play 1. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell knows? So something to watch there with Jake Wallman. I still think Wallman has some value. Again, similar to Vince Dunn, even if he's not on power play 1, as long as he's getting like 20 plus minutes, I think Wallman is a guy that can do stuff for you, right? Still a double-digit goal guy. He's done that throughout his career. Are you good with Wallman if he's not on power play 1 there, Nate?
It does get significantly harder for me to roster him if he's not getting power play 1. It has, like, he put up a bunch of points, like kind of in a bunch here, and I think that might be kind of clouding our vision of what he's actually been over the course of the season. Like, he put up, what was it? He had 2 3-point games back to back, and he has 3 points in all the other games combined. So it feels like if he can get a little bit of that spread out and add some consistency there, then maybe. But it's gonna be tough. Like Lil Jigrin, he got some more ice time in this last game here.
I was thinking Lil John.
He's gonna have to show something to Warsofsky. It sounds like. He's going to have to be penitent or something, I don't know, toe the company line here to get himself back in the good graces. Like, I don't even think it's a lock that when he gets back in the lineup that he's right back to the 20 minutes treatment. Like, you might have to re-earn it. They have another body there now, and maybe they don't have to play Wallman as much as they had been playing him before. Like, There's a lot of scenarios, different ways this could go. I dropped Wallman in the one spot I had him. So obviously I'm feeling okay with doing that. It wasn't the deepest of leagues that I did that in, but I don't think you have to hold him because it's still San Jose, right? Like they're not going to lead the league in goals scored either. So that's my current stance on it. If you want to hang on and just see how the next game or two goes, I don't blame you. If you've got better options, if you're looking to create a streamer spot or something like that and Wallman's sitting there and kind of staring you in the face, I also wouldn't blame you for doing that.
Yeah, love it. That's good stuff on Wallman there. Thank you, Nate, for your service. All right, let's move on over to Colorado. Gabriel Landeskog, it's kind of crappy news here. Suffered a little bit of a setback, according to Coach Bednar there. So it's just going to be a slog. I don't think this stash is really going to work out the way that we hoped it would at the beginning of the year with Gabe Landeskog. So, I mean, even when he does get back, I'm not expecting much. Like, think Max Pacioretty last year, right? And definitely load management. Like they're not going to be trotting this guy out in back-to-back games. I can't imagine they would do that once he does get back. So yeah, it sucks, especially because I watched that Amazon Prime show there, and Landeskog was one of the guys they featured, and he seems like such a beauty. He's a family man. Like I wish the best for the guy, and he's obviously going through hell trying to get his body ready to get back into the rigors of the NHL game. So yeah, I just don't think that there's going to be much there with Gabe Landeskog. He's not going to be a league winner for you that you've stashed all year, and all of a sudden he's going to pop off when he gets in. Like they've got so many guys, that have been playing in that stead. Guys like even Ross Colton, right? Lekkonen's back, Nichushkin's back, Middlestad's playing well. So yeah, I think Landeskog is going to get the load management treatment when he gets back. So temper your expectations there, but it does stink. I don't like that. All right, over to St. Louis. We're talking about their power play one. Drew Bannister, what are you doing? He's putting the power play one in a blender. They lost 4-2 to Utah on Thursday, and Bannister had Colton Parayko, Braden Shen, Brandon Saad all on power play one, mixed in with Buchnevich and Kyrou. Yeah, that's a choice. All right, actually, Parayko is a little bit of a player of interest to me. He's doing some stuff out there, and if he's on power play one, I'm low key interested in him. He's not available in any of the leagues that I'm in. But this is like, again, in that mold of like that defenseman, kind of that second tier defenseman who can, provide you some value there. And now he's getting some opportunities. So I don't know. Any quick thoughts on Parayko there, Nate?
Yeah, I think you can definitely roster him, especially in leagues that value the blocks that he brings, right? He does that. He adds some stuff peripherally, even when the points aren't going in. It was a really weird, like I went through trying to figure out what they were doing with the power play. It was every power play was new every single time. They were just totally, literally throwing it into a blender and just seeing what they wanted to try next time. It does seem like they are not happy with the way that it's been going, and they're willing to try just about anything. So I think we could see a few more iterations, but if something starts to work, then I think they might go with it. So keep an eye on that and see where they go.
There you go. Good advice from the man himself. All right. In sadder news, Daniel Sprong was traded from the Vancouver Canucks to Seattle. Just, what are you doing? Oh, God, the Slinky was here and we let him go. We just let him slink down the stairs. And that's fine. I don't know. I saw a good, he was traded to Seattle for future considerations, folks. If you haven't heard, and I saw a really good tweet from Thomas Drance, basically just talking about Daniel Sprong, saying, he had a little bit of a window here to sort of develop trust with Coach Tocchet, and it just didn't really work out the way that it had planned. And they have some young guys in the wings, like Arshdeep Bains, like Jonathan Lekermacki, that want to come up to the big show here. So I think it made sense for them to move on from Daniel Sprong. He wasn't getting the minutes, but he sucks at defense. There's no question, but he's really awesome at offense. So I hope he gets some minutes there in Seattle, maybe just kind of what he had before when he was in Seattle. And this could be a 40-point guy, a 20-point guy. He has that skill. This guy's shot is elite. And I'm not even kidding about that. Like, he's got an elite shot. There's no question. He doesn't play in all three zones. He plays in one zone, right? He's a one zone player. He's a dying breed there in the NHL. Anyways, let's move on. Mark Stone has a lower body injury. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't see this coming. I don't know. This is out of left field, mate. Mark Stone? No. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, Mark Stone is injured. All is right in the world. Or maybe not. But I wish the best for Mark Stone. I don't think it's going to be a big injury. But yeah, lower body injury before the game here on Friday. Check his status for the next game. I think he's going to be in and out of games throughout his career, right? Or for the rest of his career, in my opinion, right? He's got a lot of injuries, chronic injuries that he's dealing with, but this guy's been shot out of a cannon this year. Mark Stone's having an amazing start to the year. Vegas is, but I mean, they're overachieving massively, right? Like, their efficiency is off the chain. These guys are going nuts, Mark Stone included. So anyway, I talked about him in my Sell High show. Hopefully in that 8-hour window where you listen to the Sell High show and Mark Stone got injured, you were able to make a trade, right? And that's what I really hope for all of you fantasy managers out there. Let's move on. Almost done here with the news. Dang, there's a lot of stuff here. Freddie Anderson, Carolina Hurricanes, he's still week to week as per RBA. So fire up your Coach Chetkov. Spencer Martin's going to get in for a game here soon as well. Jimmy Crackhorn, and I don't care. Anaheim Ducks. What the hell is a duck? I don't know. We still don't know. And we may never know. Cam Fowler, that late night beauty. He was at the bar. He drank too much. He passed out. He's underneath. He's got an upper body injury. He didn't play the game here on Friday night. Check his status for the next one. And lastly, in Philly, they've got a goaltending issue there. I mean, Alexei Kolosov is day-to-day dealing with an injury there, and Sam Urson has a lower body injury. So it's the Fedotov show for now. And he did put a nice game together the other night, but I mean, do we stream this, man? I don't feel good about that. We don't really have a timeline on Kolosov. It doesn't sound like it's going to be too long for Sam Urson. He is skating right now, so hopefully he gets back. I think he's going to take the net as the clear number one there. I mean, what are your thoughts on the goaltending in Philly there, Nate?
Yeah, I'm not super interested in Fedotov just based on the returns thus far. Yeah, it's very hard to trust him. Urson had been playing well right before the injury cropped up. I think he had only allowed like one goal in like 7 periods of play or something like that. So he was playing well. And hopefully, this doesn't derail his momentum too much. I would have interest in Urson when he gets back because I do agree. I think he'll get some volume.
Absolutely, buddy. All right, that's it for the news. Right now, I mean, the best defense is a good offense, and we got to go on the offensive. We got to attack that schedule. In a little segment we call Schedule Attack, Nate, talk to us about week number 6.
All right, in week number 6 on Monday, we have 6 games, Tuesday 7 games, Wednesday 5 games, Thursday 10 games, Friday 5 games, Saturday 12 games, and Sunday 4 games. Very spread out, just the way we like it for fantasy. 49 total games played. It is still a light week, but definitely more towards the normal side of things here. We have one team that has a Monday back-to-back, San Jose, so that's a nice little free ad. We talked about it last week on the flagship show. If you want to get a Sunday streamer, but you also want to get an early week streamer, get that Monday game in, San Jose is your team to do so. There's one team with Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week. That's Calgary. Lots of options on Calgary, so you can get that in if you want to try to jump out to an early lead on your opponent. 5 teams with Monday, Wednesday to open the week. Obviously, off nights there. Those teams are Carolina, Colorado, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, and Vegas. Toronto also plays Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday being an off night. So you got lots of options to get some early games in. 7 teams with Wednesday, Friday off nights. Anaheim, Colorado, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Utah, Vegas, and Washington. And then 3 teams with Friday, Sunday off nights, which are probably some of the more important ones, avoiding that heaviest night of the week on Saturday. Nashville, Vegas, and Washington are those teams. So yeah, obviously really good week to stream. Some may even say a great week to stream. Calgary into Vegas or Washington is a really good way to get 5 games played with 2 ads. Vegas has a perfect schedule this week, 4 games, 4 off nights. So that's obviously the best week-long stream if you can swing it. All right, I'll kick it back over to you, Blake. Let's get into some lowered expectations.
You bet, buddy. Lowered expectations. Oh, yeah. We're going to do that. This is the part of the show. We just love to hear all your streamers. We're kicking them to the curb, and it feels good. All right. These are the worst teams to stream from or to potentially drop players from your bubble players. Okay. And there are 3 teams that have a clear worst schedule in this upcoming week here. Chicago Blackhawks, Minnesota Wild, and the Tampa Bay Lightning all play 2 games with 0 off nights, right? So they all play the busy Thursday, which is a 10-game Thursday. So you might be able to get someone in there, 12-game Saturday. So yeah, it's not great. Let's start in Chicago. And yeah, there's some guys there that we're going to have to make some decisions on, but I don't think it's going to be too tough here. I mean, Toivo Teravainen really been doing nothing as of late. I'm not too worried about that. 1 point in the last 5, really lame deployment as well. But Ryan Donato, that's kind of a player of interest, right? I mean, we're dropping him in a 2-game week. There's no question, but just shout out to Ryan Donato, 4 points in 5 games. He's 3rd overall in shots to goal per 60 in the last 5. Who's Ryan Donato? Nate, are you aware of this?
Yeah, Donato has always been a guy who kind of shows out a little bit in the underlying statistics. No one's ever really given him much of a shot, so it's kind of nice to see him actually put something together when given a chance here. But again, it does seem like a player that coaches don't seem to like for extended stretches of time. So yeah, this is probably a good spot to get off of any Ryan Donato. I will note in the last game against the Stars, he did get away from the Connor Bedard treatment. It was Taylor Hall and Lucas Reichel with Connor Bedard at even strength, although Donato was still on the top power play.
Yeah, weird stuff. He's fourth line power play one, Ryan Donato. All right, figure that one out, folks. We don't know. But shout out to him. I mean, we don't need to talk on Chicago too much here, but Tyler Bertuzzi, Nick Foligno, Alex Vlasic, the Pickle, Taylor Hall, and Philip Kurashev. Anyone you're trying to hold in 2 game week?
Honestly, no. Yeah, Bertuzzi has some interest for me. The underlying metrics are not as terrible. The on ice metrics are actually pretty good, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, I don't think I can reasonably hang on to Bertuzzi in a week like this.
33-point pace for Tyler Bertuzzi. Yeah, he's a cooking of something up. Oh God. Yeah, not really going to plan there in Chicago with some of their signings, but it's still lots of season left. Anyways, let's move on to Minnesota. Some of the players we're looking at potentially dropping there. Jake Middleton, right? I mean, this is a guy that was weirdly added in a lot of spots because, he's actually producing some offense, right? Like he's got, what the hell does he have? Yeah, 9 points in 14 games. That's a 53-point pace. Imagine if Jake Middleton scored 53 points this year. I mean, I probably have to retire from fantasy hockey. I mean, how would you feel about this, Nate?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that this won't continue. He's kind of like a guy who gets rostered for his bangers, and then all of a sudden people are like, wait, he's giving us points too? Yeah, I don't think it'll continue. 15.5% on ice shooting percentage and a 50% IPP, 13% individual scoring percentage. Like, none of this is real. So that's where I'm at with Middleton.
That's that's the type of stuff we bring here at Apples and Genius. We do deep dives on Jake Middleton. All right, we don't have anything better to do. We're fine with that. But yeah, there's players that players like Marco Rossi and Ryan Hartman. Those are decisions you're gonna have to make. Again, what are you doing with those players in a 2 game week, Nate?
Yeah, it's really hard to get rid of Rossi right now. 5 points his last five. The underlying metrics were concerning at first, but they've steadily gotten better, and not just the on ice ones, but the individual ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
On the season, he's got 13 points in 14 games, 76-point pace, and he's been making it work with who's basically the best player in the league right now in Kirill Kaprizov. So yeah, I don't think you can. Like, I don't think you can drop Marco Rossi at the moment if you've got him. Ryan Hartman, less than 14 minutes average time on ice. Nice underlying metrics, 28th in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60 the last five, but I would feel comfortable dropping Hartman.
Yeah, we always like the metrics on Hartman, don't we? But we have to factor into he doesn't get a lot of minutes, so he's like one of these per minute guys. But I
Yeah,
wonder what he'd be like in 20 minutes. Like, would those metrics hold? Has he ever had that before? Like, I'm trying to
yeah,
think. Yeah,
yeah. He's had a good season. I think it was 3 seasons ago now. I gotta look it up now. This is gonna bug me if I don't do it. But yeah, he has had a decent stretch of time where he played. Yeah, it was 2021, 22. He had 34 goals, 65 points in 82 games.
yep.
So we have seen it before from Hartman. It does make sense. But yeah, if Rossi is going to be the guy on the top line, Rossi's the guy you want to hang on to.
There you go. All right. And Tampa Bay is the other team there with 2 games and 0 off nights. Pretty easy drops here, in my opinion. Anthony Cirelli, Nick Paul, aka Jones Paul, and Yanis Moser. Get these players off my roster. Do you give a damn about any of these players? I mean, certainly in their personal lives, but for fantasy?
Yeah, the only thing you could say, I guess, is if Braden Point's going to be out longer, then Anthony Cirelli has some staying power potentially. But in a 2 game week, like, I'm not trusting Anthony Cirelli, so I would acquiesce. I would drop all of them.
Acquiesce. God, you make me feel dumb sometimes. I don't know. My vocabulary is terrible, man. I just I've got what I've got, and it's not growing. In fact, it's probably shrinking. You know what I mean? While I deal with my two kids, my brain cells are just getting annihilated. Anyways, let's move on. Okay. The next, there's two teams that also have a pretty poor schedule. 2 games played with 2 off nights, and they are Anaheim and Utah. So I mean, the off nights are nice, but you don't really need them in this week, right? The only day we're looking to really avoid is that busy Saturday. So, let's look at Anaheim. They play Wednesday and Friday, so that's nice. Utah as the same. So they both play Wednesday and Friday. Let's look at Anaheim first. We got Frank Vetrano. How'd you get the beans above the Frank? That's what we need to know. Nate doesn't even understand the reference, so that's fine. Frank Vetrano, he's been shooting a ton lately, which is really nice to see. Radko Gudas as well, beefer extraordinaire. He's out there. I mean, in a bangers league, I think you're probably holding on to Gudas there. Like, that makes sense with what he's bringing to the table, but it's going to stink. Troy Terry, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish, and Olin Zellweger. You had me at hello. Talk to me about the Anaheim Ducks and how you're sort of approaching them in this 2-game week.
Yeah, there's only 2 players that I'm really, well, I guess maybe 3. Yeah, Vetrano, Terry, and Zellweger stick out to me as the guys that I'm trying not to lose in a week like this. And like 2 off nights, it's not probably the worst thing that you can do. But it is also a week in which there are a lot of off nights, and there's a lot of different ways that you can go about stuff, and you can probably actually fit in 4 games from a streamer. So it's also a week in which you can actually get probably 2 extra games played from these streamer slots. So yeah, take it into account. I like Troy Terry. You've heard me say it before. I'll say it a million times again. I think he's their best player offensively. He's actually been producing pretty well. And yeah, I'm trying not to lose that. But if you have to, I think you can. Frank Vetrano, similar situation. He's really been shooting, upping the shots lately, and so that's really encouraging. And maybe you don't want to move on from that, especially in your deeper leagues. But if it's a little bit shallower, I think you can. And Olin Zellweger really starting to show out in a big way in the underlying stats, especially 12th amongst all defensemen, shot attempts for 60, skating over 21 minutes tonight, skated over 23 minutes tonight in the game with that Fowler missed. Was a lot of power play time there, so that definitely contributed. But yeah, the underlying metrics look really good with Zellweger. I think this is a real talent, and if your league is a pretty sharp league and it's likely that Zellweger would get snapped up, then I would be comfortable hanging on to him even in a bad week like this with only 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Great take there on the Ducks. Appreciate that. Let's move over to Utah. And yeah, you're going to have some interesting issues here. We got Dylan Guenther. I've been calling him Genther, Nate. I think it's Guenther. I've listened to a couple, broadcasts here. I feel bad about this. I'm going to go back in, re-record the episodes out of respect. All right, because this man's a legend. But anyways, Dylan Guenther, Logan Cooley, Nick Schmaltz, who's actually been moved down the lineup, which is interesting, and his ice time suffered a little bit. So that's an interesting piece there with Nick Schmaltz, Lawson Krause, Barrett Hayton. Talk to me about the Utah Hockey Club. And, right off the bat, I mean, Guenther to me is a hold. There's no question I'm not dropping Guenther in a 2-game week here. But, I mean, what are you doing with these players?
Yeah, it's a tough spot for sure. They still, like, Guenther looks good under the hood. 43rd shots per 60, 31st individual scoring chances for per 60, but the time on ice bounces around. That part's pretty tough. Yeah, I'm trying to hang on to Dylan Guenther there. I'm trying to not lose him. Logan Cooley has cooled off a little bit as of late. The points are still there. Last 5 games, he's got 4 points, but underlying metrics have dipped to around the 200 mark in terms of rank across the board there. Nick Schmaltz, in the last game, he was back with Keller and Hayton. Both at even strength and on the power play. So that did happen for Nick Schmaltz the last game, but yeah, it is a little bit concerning. He's been absolutely stapled to Clayton Keller throughout like most of their respective careers in Arizona and now Utah. So for that to even be a possibility that he can move away from Keller is obviously concerning in some respect. I think you can move away from Schmaltz, especially in goals heavy leagues or shot heavy leagues where Schmaltz doesn't do a lot of that. He's more of a points guy. He'll add a lot of assists, but maybe not that much else.
Yep.
Barrett Hayton, I'm comfortable to drop in all but your deepest leagues.
Yeah, that sucks about Barrett Hayton because this is a guy, it kind of like last year too. He was showing out in the metrics, although this year he was actually, providing some production. But then, yeah, the metrics are falling off. So who knows what's going on there? But yeah, Utah's an interesting team. They're kind of boomer bust, aren't they? But anyways, fun fact, everybody, Dylan Gunther, Nate dropped him in the league that we're in together. And guess who scooped him up? Me, baby. Oh, I got some Dylan Gunther over here, and I'm loving life for 5 points in 5 games. Nate, how do you sleep at night? I mean, what are you doing? How could you drop Dylan Gunther like that?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember the specifics of that drop, but yeah, he went through a cold stretch and I needed a stream and he wasn't going to make my starting lineup. So you have to get ruthless sometimes. I'm glad that he worked out for you, but he was not going to do anything for me even if I held him. So.
Jeez, what have you done for me lately, Dylan Gunther? You just kicked him to the curb like an old dog. I don't know. Don't kick a dog, folks. All right, that's not good. Anyways, where am I going with this? Let's move on. There are also 12 teams that have 3 games with 1 off night. So that's really just indicative of a really great streaming week. So you're going to have lots of options this week. So, get to biz with your streaming. All right. And now we got to move on to the section that everybody loves, crossing the streams. Yeah, this is the best teams to stream here, folks. And we call it crossing the streams. And we like to joke over here a little bit about crossing the streams. And even though that's 100% true, right, Nate? Like we cross the streams. Like you agree on that, right?
Oh, obviously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I do feel that we need to do a PSA because I want to make sure everyone's safe out there. So when you think of crossing the streams, what do you think of, Nate? Just right off the top of your head, what do you think about when you think about crossing the streams?
Manhood, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Friendship, manhood, connection, right? This is what we're doing, okay? But the true answer, Nate, is proton packs. All right. And I want to say, like, just so everybody's aware, all packs have one important rule. Do not cross the streams, okay? Because that can cause a chain reaction, which may lead to a total protonic reversal or destruction at the cellular level. Nate, are you aware of this? Like crossing the streams is like Russian roulette, and protonic reversal may never happen, but it might. Okay, so have you heard about this theory with the proton? Yep. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So just be safe out there. The only true applications of crossing the streams are strengthening the bond between you and your best friend, like Nate and I do, and also if there's a stubborn stain on the inside of the toilet and you might need a friend's help to get the stream strength to take care of biz on that, right, Nate? So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. The more you know, right? Okay, I'm sorry about this, Nate. I've had 2 beers. These beers are like 9%. I'm drinking sour beer tonight, folks, and it feels good. That's the result. Anyways, we're talking about the best teams to stream. I'm sorry about that. We've got some good teams here this week. We got a perfect schedule team. We got Vegas. All right, Vegas, baby. You're still money and you don't even know it. They got 4 games with 4 off nights here, and I'm pretty excited about some of these guys. Right? We got some decent streamers on the Vegas Golden Knights, and let's start over with Wild Bill, William Karlsson. He's going to do some stuff. This guy's got 4 points in his last 5 games. How about Pavel Dorofeyev, though? Dang. Like this guy's must roster here for this week coming up here. 4 goals in his last 5. Cooking out there. Braden McNabb, Keegan Colasar I added to the list because I just like the player. I don't know. Talk to me about the Vegas streamers, Nate, and how are you ranking them?
Yeah, Dorofeyev is far and away the most interesting. 35th shots per 60, 53rd individual scoring chances 4 per 60. Just getting prime deployment right now. Thomas Hurdle at even strength is fine, but the top power play, getting that exposure alongside Eichel and Theodore and those guys, that's obviously raising his profile as well. About 16 and a half minutes time on ice is solid. would love to see more, but we're not going to complain if we're picking up a streamer and he's getting
Yep.
that kind of deployment. So definitely Dorofiev at the top. Carlson's fine. Yeah, I don't mind that stream. Kolasar, he's been putting up some points, but realistically, Kolasar is still nothing much more than a hit stream to me. If he scores some goals
Whoa,
or
whoa, whoa,
adds some
whoa.
assists for you, then great. But that's really all he is at the end of the day. Braden McNabb, obviously, just a bangers guy. Hits and blocks is what Braden McNabb brings to the tables.
Keegan Kolasar is a national treasure. All right. This man drives offense like nobody's business, Nate. Okay. Shout out to Keegan Kolasar, the fourth line beauty. But I actually think he's a reasonable ad for this week here in a deep league, no question. But yeah, I mean, Pavel Dorofiev, we're loving that. Also, Mark Stone, it sounds like there's some mystery surrounding it. I just saw a tweet here, like Bruce Cassidy talked about he's going to go back and be assessed. So that seems like there's a little bit more to it, right? So he could be out for maybe this week. He might not get this 4 games in or a couple of them. So Nicholas Roy, I don't know how to say this man's name. I'm sorry, folks, but he's up on the top line there with Jack Eichel and Ivan Barbashev, and he did some stuff here in this last game. So that we should throw Nicholas Roy on there as well as just a player of interest, right? Especially if Mark Stone is going to be out, we want to have him on the thing there. Like, yeah, Nicholas Roy, 6 points in 5 games. What? All right, maybe we should have had him on the list to begin with, Nate. What the hell are we doing over here?
Yeah, he's been showing out a little bit. Without this deployment, like I wasn't going to be excited about him. But yeah, if this holds, if Stone is out for some time and he's going to hold here, then yeah, it actually does look pretty good under the hood. And yeah, if he's going to get on some top line, top power play kind of stuff for us here, then for sure we can get excited about that.
Yep, and throw Brett Howden in there as well. What the hell, right?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, he's doing stuff out there. Anyways, that's Vegas. That's what we got going on there. So again, perfect schedule. And moving down the list here, we've got 3 teams that have 4 games with 3 off nights. And that, again, is going to be really helpful. But like Nate said, these off nights aren't as valuable this week because you can kind of do what you want, right? You just want to avoid that Saturday. But anyways, we'll get into these teams here. Carolina Hurricanes, Nashville Predators, the league worst Nashville Predators. What is going on there in Nashville? I don't know. And the Pittsburgh Penguins, they got 4 games and 3 off nights. So let's dig in on Carolina. They play Monday, Wednesday, and then they play Saturday, Sunday back to back. So a pretty good schedule. We got Jacob Slavin out here. Slavin, Maven. Yeah. I can't say I've ever streamed Jacob Slavin in. I know he's a good player in real life, and he blocks and he does stuff out there, but it's not anyone I'm excited about. But he's out there. Dmitry Orlov actually has a little scoring streak going on, like 4-game, point streak. So I've actually had some questions on Dmitry Orlov. Like, I'll never be excited about him, but he's just the type of guy that can get out there and do stuff, right? Remember when he was traded to Boston, Nate, and he just went the hell off? Like what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, he has that ability there, but he's out there. I think it's a reasonable stream. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, right? He's the 2C there playing with red hot Martin Necas, right? Just as we called, right, Nate? We called Martin Necas, and we're taking that to the bank.
I think you called it. I don't think I need to take any credit for that. That was your guy all the way.
No, I'm trying to involve you in that, right? I mean, this is one team, one goal. All right, that's what we're at here.
One team crossing the stream. I feel you.
Yeah, no, again, just for the millionth time, all right? Like I said, when Nate and I cross the streams, it's old hat. You know what I mean? We're trying to do stuff that like mixes it up a little bit. Like last time Nate and I crossed the streams, we lied on our backs.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm saying? That's really that's the next level of crossing the streams.
Right? I regret bringing this back up so much right now.
But I mean, like, our stream strength is so strong. Like, we didn't even get wet. It's crazy. Where did it go? We don't know. But that's the level of friendship that Nate and I have. That's my brother from another mother. I love you, buddy. All right, let's move on. This very Kotkaniemi. Nate's going to be streaming him in this week, no question. And also Jack Roslovic. We got to talk about this freaking unit over here. This guy has been popping the hell off in really limited minutes. So I think Roslovic is a must-add this week with Carolina's great schedule. He's playing top line with Aho and Svech. Talk to me about the Carolina streamers, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, Roslovic is super hot at the moment. He's also skating 13 minutes a night, which is terrifying for anyone because you have to be pretty efficient to get anything done in 13 minutes. But to that point, he's second in the league in shots per 60 over the last 5 games.
Sweet.
So, yeah, that's what I would call being efficient with your minutes. Yeah, I mean, Roslovic has done this, maybe not to this extent, definitely being magnified by like the Carolina effect and how good they are at controlling play and generating opportunities. So I don't know how far to trust Jack Roslovic. I do anticipate it'll fall off at some point because it always has with him in every other situation. And he's been in some good situations before. Like
Yep.
he was there with the Rangers in some good spots, and he did produce for a while there and then fell off again. So I do expect that it will fall off. But yeah, I definitely think you can stream him for this week. Kakanyemi as well. Like I have less faith in Kotkaniemi, as I've mentioned several times before. But yeah, if you need those off nights, that's another way you can look. Slavin, Orlov, I'm not excited about either option. I think you go with Orlov just to try to stay in the flames there. His underlying metrics are a little better, getting less ice time than Slavin, but Slavin seems to be pretty clearly motivated to keep the puck out of his net first and think about offense afterwards, where Orlov is maybe trending the other direction. Yeah, I'm not excited about Orlov long term, but it is a spot where he's hot and he's feeling it at the moment, generating some shots. So I'm okay with that stream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Some decent options there. I think Roslovic is sort of leading the charge there with the Carolina streamers. But Jesper Kotkaniemi, buddy, 50th overall in the last 5 games in shots and goal per 60. Come on, Nate, give it to me, buddy. He's shooting the puck. He's doing that.
It's a great 5 game stretch for Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
All right, that's about as good as we're going to get from Nate Grudniblik here, folks, and that's fine. I'm here for that. All right, let's move on. Next team we're looking at, again with the 4 and 3, is the Nashville Predators. They play Monday. They play a Thursday, Friday back-to-back, then they play Sunday. So they dodge the busy Saturday. So you might be able to get all 4 players in for this stinky Nashville team, and they have some stinky streamers as well. Starting with Jeremy Lozon, 0 points in his last 5 games, probably a bazillion hits. He's got 0 points on the season. So, I mean, yeah, that's not feeling very good. I mean, if you have banger waiting, sure, Lozon makes a lot of sense, but I mean, what the hell are we doing here? Like, you can get hits from anybody. Yeah, this guy's a great hitter, no question, but whatever. I'm not too stoked there. Really lame time on ice as well. But Gustav Nyquist is the other player there of interest for Nashville. And I think, yeah, he's got some juice there. Only 2 points in his last 5 games. He's been moved down the lineup, but they're doing everything they can in Nashville to try and generate some offense. So who the hell knows where Nyquist is going to line up, this upcoming week here. But do you hold out any hope for Nyquist? And then even I'll throw Tommy Novak in there as well. He was a scratch the last game there with a late injury, but he might come back. We got Luke Evangelista. Like, anybody on Nashville that you're maybe considering in this good streaming week here?
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty tough to get excited about it. I'm really struggling to figure out what's going on with Nashville right now. Like, it really does seem to be like a player problem right now that they're literally just not doing the thing. Like, Andrew Burnett has had some reasonable success in multiple places at this point. I feel like decently confident in what he is as a coach, and the Preds just cannot put the on ice product together at this point. Their even strength metrics look horrible. Like it's not like they're just being unlucky. They are not looking good. So that's pretty concerning. Yeah, Nyquist is really the only guy who kind of moves the needle for me in any regard, just because we've seen him do it before. It might not be a scenario where he, takes 5 shots every game, but he could get there with a few assists and get some points for you that way. But yeah, it is all kinds of all over the map for Nashville at this point. I think they need to just in their minds plan a trip to the Sphere in Vegas, and then the management there can cancel it, and then that should reset everything, right?
Yeah, is there any U2 concerts? Anything at all? Maybe Taylor Swift. I mean, that's a concert I would love to cancel. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we got Taylor Swift tickets. Oh, we can't go. Damn. That's spoken from a 44-year-old man here. I don't get it. But anyways, Shout out to Taylor Swift. Shout out to you two. Shout out to the Nashville Predators. All right, they're legends. They're beautiful and unique snowflakes. Let's move on. What the hell? I lost my place in the sheet, Nate. Oh my god. All right, Pittsburgh. They got 4 games in 3 nights as well. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, back to back. So, some really good streamers on Pittsburgh, and headlined by Brian Rust. Rusty, he's out there. This guy is 42% rostered. What are we doing, folks? Why is Brian Rust rostered at 42%? I mean, that makes no sense to me. This guy came in, he played like 18 minutes tonight or something like that.
18:27.
Yeah, he's good to go. So, I mean, Rust is a must roster player. He got an assist tonight, 5 shots, 1 hit. Yeah, 18 and a half minutes. What are we doing? So this guy's got to be rostered this week. Ricard Raquel, and the bunt cake, Michael Bunting. Bunt. All right. He's out there as well. Actually, talk to me about, I was looking at the metrics here. Talk to me about some of these players here in Pittsburgh and what you like about them.
Yeah, the metrics look really good. Raquel did maintain his top power play spot. Erik Karlsson, the sole defenseman now on the top power play. Raquel is good underlying numbers, 63rd shots per 68th in on-ice Corsi 4 per 60, really nice. Bunting, even better, 32nd shots per 68th individual scoring chances, 4 per 61st on-ice Corsi 4 per 60 for Michael Bunting. And that's like in this last game, he played on a line with Jesse Puljujärvi and Nola Chari. So, I think he's probably pulling his weight there. So, interesting stuff. I'm not excited about Bunting. I would do a stream of Raquel as long as this top power play deployment continues. I'm interested in that. But yeah, it is Brian Rust. If he's at all available, you definitely want to get in on that.
How about that, Evgeny Malkin? Buddy, we called that as a sleeper. Malkin was a sleeper this year, and we got that. He's crushing, and you probably got him at around pick 200. That's insane. This guy's really having a nice year. So shout out to Gino Malkin there. Really good streamers again, led by Rust and Raquel there. Really good stuff. Let's move on to the next 3 teams here. We're going to start picking up the pace on this because we want to get to some of these holds here, but. Calgary Flames, Colorado Avalanche, and the Washington Capitals all play 3 games, all on the off nights. So, again, indicative of a really great week. Let's talk about those streamers here. Starting with Calgary, they play Monday, Tuesday, so you can get them for the back-to-back, like Nate said, and then they play again on Friday. So, Blake Coleman, Jonathan Huberdeau, Andrei Kuzmenko, Igor Sharangovich, Mikhail Backlund, Nate's favorite player, Connor Zary, and Matt Coronado. Who's your favorite of those Calgary streamers and who you're rolling with?
Yeah, Blake Coleman is pretty clearly my favorite streamer there at the moment. All season long, honestly, he's been shooting on the season 48th in the league in shots per 60, last 5, 39th. He's doing that. It's 15 and a half minutes average time on ice, so he hasn't been getting, at some points last year, he was getting a lot more than that, and that was pretty exciting. So there is that part to it, but Coleman just feels like a reliable streamer. Feels like that guy. You're like, Blake Coleman. I feel good about this click, and you get him in there, and he does stuff. Sharangovich is the other guy that I like a lot here. Over 19 minutes average time on ice. You're gonna like that. Underlying metrics are not quite there, but he's getting top power play. At even strength, he's been playing with Huberdeau and Pospisil. I don't love that, but it could be worse. So there's that there. And then Backlund actually has some pretty good underlying metrics as well. 19th in the league in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60 over the last 5. It's only resulted in 1 assist, but there's a pretty good chance that he pops off for a little bit here. Matt Coronado also, I should shout out for his 14th in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60 over the last 4 games that he's been a part of here. And Coronado is playing with Backlund and Coleman on that line. So there is that as well. Definitely a bit more of a swing if you're going down to Coronado there, but there are definite options for the Flames this week.
How do you leave Martin Pospisil off this list, Nate? God dang. I mean, you telling me a player that plays 11 minutes a night and, hits like a Mack truck isn't worthy of your time? All right, that's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I guess that's what you're telling me. Okay, that message is very clear. All right, let's move on to Colorado. We're looking at Casey Middlestat for some reason is what is Middlestat rostered at? I gotta look at this.
44%.
What? That makes no sense. All right, you gotta roster Casey Middlestat at least for now until things start to settle in when Nichushkin comes back and we got Lehkonen on power play 1, all that stuff. But I think Middlestat is must roster at this point. Jonathan Drouin, we still don't have anything official on when he's going to return, but if you can pick somebody up and stash him right in your IR, that makes a lot of sense to me, because this is a guy he's gonna jump right back onto that top line. They like the way that top line looked at the end of the year. He's a great facilitator, and everything Nathan MacKinnon touches right now, like, he's not scoring very many goals, Nate MacKinnon, but he's assisting like a hot damn. He had 5 assists night the other night. It was insane. He's just really cooking. So yeah, and you want anybody with exposure there to Nate MacKinnon. And then Josh Manson, sure. I think that's something you can do in like a Beefer league or something like that. But talk to me about Middlestat and Drouin and just kind of what you're doing with those players. Are you interested in them this week, or are you kind of going with a 4-game team?
Yeah, I think you can definitely get into that, especially just given the schedule here. It makes a lot of sense. They go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then you leave your weekend open. You can do whatever you want. You have a lot of optionality there, so that's nice with this particular team. Middlestat, I like for the minutes, like 20 and a half minutes average time on ice here. The on ice stats look great, unsurprisingly. Yeah, Drouin coming back will be interesting to see where he slots in, but definitely a player that you could pick up. Hope he instantly rekindles that chemistry he had towards the end of the last year with MacKinnon and Rantanen.
Absolutely. Yep. Lots of options there. Colorado is amazing. It's an amazing place for fantasy hockey. Like, anybody who gets on power play 1, just an absolute unit. Lehkonen jumps up there in Ross Colton's spot. Bang. Starts popping off 20 minutes. Jared Bednar, coach of the year for fantasy hockey. That's confirmed. All right. Let's move on. The next team that has 3 games played with 3 off nights, Washington Capitals. The surprisingly upstart Washington Capitals. They're cooking this year. They play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So yeah, you can roll like a Calgary back-to-back and then jump into a Washington team. That's a very viable option. And Washington has some great streamers, right? Led by Tom Wilson. He's only 50% rostered, which is pretty nuts considering the level of production he's been able to provide this season so far. Connor McMichael, a.k.a. Connor McMagic. He's doing stuff out there. McMichael, I talked about him on the Sell High show. It's a player that I don't even consider a sell high anymore. I think it's just a player I want to be in on, right, with what he's been able to do so far this season. PLD, the production is not really there, but he's doing all the right things there on the ice. And he's, facilitating a little mini breakout here from Connor McMichael. I think PLD's having a nice little resurgence. Maybe it doesn't equal points there, but that's fine. Alexei Protash playing on the top line with Ovechkin and Dylan Strome has been a nice piece. And then Matt Roy is back in the mix, coming back off the IR. Who are you rolling with in Washington there?
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to be able to get Tom Wilson or Connor McMichael. McMichael, in the time that, we prepared this show sheet, has gone above 50% rostered. But yeah, underlying numbers look amazing for Connor McMichael. He's truly popping off in every sense of the word. Tom Wilson, like, good numbers there too. 12th individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. 8th on ice scoring chances, 4 per 60. The Wilson McMichael PLD line is one of the better lines in the league now, apparently. I mean, PLD is
what's that?
Kind of just bathing in the light of his 2 incredible wingers there. He's not doing much himself, but it's nice that he has good teammates to kind of prop him up. And it's kind of like it's one of those like doll situations. What's the what am I thinking of? Where they stick the hand inside the doll and make him talk. That's what McMichael and yes, a ventriloquist. All right. That's what McMichael and Wilson are doing with PLD every game right now.
That's kind of like, I'm like the PLD and you're like the Connor McMichael. That's like our podcast, isn't it? Is that a parallel? Is that, okay. I don't know. This is terrible. I'm sorry. Just give PLD his flowers, Nate, and do it tonight.
Never.
All right, come on. Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. That's petty and hurtful. But let's move on. Okay. We're going to speed run here. And I thought we'd do something fun here, Nate. I'll give you the players of these next teams here, and you pick one and I'll pick one. Okay. Right. There are 3 teams that have 4 games with 2 off nights. They are the Seattle Kraken, St. Louis Blues, and the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to name some players. You pick one, I'll pick one. Starting with Seattle: Adam Larson, Matty Beniers, Riker Evans, Jordan Eberle, Oliver Bjorkstrand, the Jerk Store, Eli Tolvanen, Chandler Bing Stevenson, and Jaden Schwartz. Who's your Huckleberry?
I think I'm gonna roll Jordan Eberle here. He's getting the most consistent minutes, captain of the team. No points in his last five. The underlying metrics are not inspiring, but nobody in Seattle is inspiring really. So, give me Eberle.
Wow, what an amazing endorsement. I'm taking Matty Beniers because the micro stats. All right, come on. We know he does that. This man drives offense. Allegedly. Okay, that's what we're saying there. All right, let's move on. St. Louis. We got Colton Parayko, Justin Falk, Jake Neighbors. Hey neighbor. Braden Shen, Dylan Holloway. Wow, this guy's amazing. He takes a puck in the neck and he's like, "Yeah, I'll play next game, no problem." Brandon Saad. Who of those players in St. Louis are you rolling with?
I think it's probably Braden Shen just for the deployment. None of these guys look good under the hood at the moment, but Shen getting 18 and a half minutes a night. Give me that.
Give me that. And no one has ever said that about Braden Shen. All right. I'm going to take Colton Parayko because I like what the hell is going on there. If you have any banger waiting in a points league or if it's just bangers league, I think Parayko has a lot of value. And if he's getting power play one, let's get to biz with Colton Parayko. All right. And now we're over to the Vancouver Canucks. Your Vancouver Canucks, Jake DeBrusk, Kiefer, a.k.a. Beefer, Sherwood, and Connor Garland. Who are you taking there?
Yeah, this one's a little tougher, I guess. I mean, if you need the hits, then obviously Kiefer Sherwood is the new, like basically what we had with Jeremy Lauzon
Yeah.
last year. Kiefer Sherwood is that this year. Next year will probably be somebody new. But anyway, if you have to make a decision between DeBrusk and Garland, like Garland's getting all of the ice time right now,
Yeah.
including the top power play. I think you have to go Connor Garland.
You gotta. I would take Garland as well. It's a pretty easy decision for me. Although if you're in a bangers league, like Sherwood's the thing that's not real about what Sherwood's doing is the offense, right? It's
Yeah.
major, like it's super efficient, and that's not something that we need to expect from him. But you can absolutely expect everything else. This guy's a difference maker on the ice. What an amazing signing for the Canucks. They're basically like, this guy was really hard to play against. He's in a contract year. Let's sign that guy and bring him over here, right? And that's what they did. And he's really become a fan favorite here. Just a fun player to watch. So shout out to Kiefer Sherwood. But yeah, Connor Garland's your Huckleberry on power play one there. He's getting 20 minutes a night. Damn. I love that. All right, we're still going here. We got 5 teams that have 3 games with 2 off nights. They are the Columbus Blue Jackets, Detroit Red Wings, LA Kings, New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs. All right. And we'll start with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Same thing. Speed round here. Sean Monahan, Kirill Marchenko, Igor Chinikov, Adam Fantilli, and Damon Severson. What say you?
Honestly, I think I have to go Monahan here if I'm adhering to my own process. The underlying stats look significantly better for Monahan than any of the other guys we're talking about. 42nd shots per 60, 45th individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. Only player mentioned here that's over 18 minutes average time on ice. I got to go Monahan.
Geez, that's the right answer. But I got to go Kirill Marchenko, based on previous history here. Just a more dynamic player, a more fun player. So I'm going with Marchenko there. All right, let's move on to the next team. Detroit, we got Vladimir Tarasenko, JT Compher, that ginger beauty right there, Simon Edmondson, and Ben the Sherratt. I mean, this is getting a little bit easier over here. Who are you taking here with the Red Wings?
Can I not? Like, do I
Yeah,
have to?
no, I don't think you do. Are you taking any Detroit Red Wings with their 3-game, 2 off-night schedule?
I would be trying everything within my power to not.
God, yeah, me too. I mean, I'm not interested in any of those guys. Maybe Edmondson. Edmondson, as like in a deeper league, you could pick him up because he's getting some minutes. He's playing with Moritz Seider, but I mean, there's no production offensively. So, if you temper expectations there, the guy can maybe get you some periffs there. But anyways, that's a bit stinky. I'm not in on Detroit at all this year. Although I did call Dylan Larkin a buy low, and Buddy's been popping the hell off. Pat on the back, smug pat on the back for me. All right. LA Kings is the next team. Again, 3 games, 2 off nights. We got some beauties here. Alex Laferriere, Trevor Moore, Quentin Byfield, Tanner Jeannot. Buddy, what's your problem? Philip Deneau, Mikey Anderson, who's doesn't sound like his injury is going to be too bad. He should maybe be back for the next game. Vladislav Gavrikov and McLovin, Warren Fogle. Talk to me about the Kings.
Yeah, there's only 2 guys here that I'm really considering between it's Laferriere and Byfield. Byfield, low-key dominating the last little bit, up to 7th in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60 over the last 5 games. Got 4 points, just under 17 minutes average time on ice. Ferrier's been more productive, but I think I might roll with Byfield on the basis of I think he's got more natural talent and the underlying metrics are really starting to back it up.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Again, I think that's the right answer, but I'm taking LaFerriere. All right, I can't get off my boy here because we'll talk about him later, but the man's cooking right now. All right, and I think this is a player that's just uber efficient, and yeah, he's very opportunistic, and he's playing with Byfield, right? So they're both getting the benefit of each other's play. I think it's kind of 1A, 1B there. Either makes sense for me, so I like those players on the Kings. New York Rangers. Let's move over there. Jacob Trouba, Keandre Miller, Will Cooley, Riley Smith, or Philip Hedel. What are you doing?
Yeah, again, this is not a spot I want to be selecting players from. Filipino has some nice underlying metrics, but only 14 minutes a night. I guess I would go Heedle. I mean, Cooley, if you got hits or some kind of big bangers weight, and sure, you could go Cooley for that. He's been scoring some points. I don't think that's real, but Heedle for points and Cooley for hits.
I like that. I can't really disagree. I'd probably go Cooley just straight up. Although I love Philip Hedel, the macro P. All right, I love that about Philip Hedel. I mean, how does he even skate around with that thing out there? It doesn't make any sense. Like his balance is all. I guess he's lower to the ground. You know what I'm talking about, Nate?
I have
Yeah,
no idea.
he's tripoding it out there. Anyways, sorry. Uh, anyways, we're doing this again, Nate. I don't know. That's fine. I'm taking Will Cooley there. I think this is a player of interest for me. They're bouncing him around that lineup, giving him some opportunity there. Obviously, these guys aren't getting power play one, but I like both players. I think in a bubble, I'll take Will Cooley right now for this upcoming week. All right, that's my stand. I'm sticking to it. Shout out to Philip Hedel, buddy. Congratulations. All right. Last team, Toronto. Okay, talk to me about your boys here, Nate. You got a pulse on this team. Matthew Nyes, OEL, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Jake McCabe, Maximus Domius, Max Domi, and Max Pacioretty. Who's your Huckleberry?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty clearly nice at this point. Over 19 minutes average time on ice, getting power play one with Matthews out, and it's working. Everybody else, like OEL, is off the top power play. Riley got a bunch of power play points, and it's humming right now, so that's not going to change anytime soon. Max Domi and Max Pacioretty under 15 minutes average time on ice. I don't think you're into that, so it's pretty clearly nice.
Matthew Nyes for the win. That's how we get the biz when we cross the streams. Buddy, talk to us about the Patreon. What's going on with that Apples and Genos Patreon? Are you doing stuff over there?
We're doing a little bit of stuff over there. $2 a month gets you the supporter tier, access to patron-only live shows. There will be one next week after the Puzzling Players live stream. I'll be going live for the Patreon members and recording that show, so definitely that'll be something you might want to check out. I'm going to be talking all about my waiver wire process, how I set up my ads for the week, how I think through the entire week before the week gets started, so I can kind of plan out my ads really well. The Apples tier, $8 gets you access to those live shows, also to the Patreon-only Discord channels, gets you show notes, including show notes to this waiver wire show today, and also gets you access to the Apples and Geos player evaluation tools, what Blake and I are using to tell you all about these sweet metrics. For $15 a month, you get to the Genos tier, and that'll get you a guaranteed answer to every single one of your questions from yours truly. Blake, are you ready for the dream streams?
Buddy, I'm absolutely ready. Get into those dream streamers. We gotta hear this.
All right, off the top, Pavel Dorofeyev, 4 off nights for Vegas. This is pretty clearly the number one stream with a bullet for me. Number 2 will be Brian Rust. Should never really be on any of these lists, but the fact that he is makes him very, very valuable. It's really just an indication of how into Dorofeyev I am, that I have Dorofeyev over Rust at this point. Obviously, Dorofeyev also has an extra off night, so I do value that in these rankings as well. Casey Middlestat, Jonathan Drouin. I think I have more faith in you in Drouin getting right back to a top line role there for Colorado. So that's why I'm willing to put Drouin up this high, although I do think we're much more in a second tier now as we get past Middlestat. Blake Coleman, Igor Sharangovich. William Karlsson, PLD down here, Mikhail Backlund, and Gustav Nyquist. After Coleman and Sharon Govich, I think it does drop off to the Carlson, Dubois, Backlund, Nyquist kind of tier there as well. But definitely, I think you got 5 or 6 really strong options for this upcoming week. Would you change anything? Would you re-rank something? Is there somebody I missed, Blake?
Oh, I might get Backlund out of there. I know you love Michael Backlund. I'd probably put Roslovic in there. I like Roslovic. I think he's going to be good. But, buddy, this is 2 weeks in a row PLD has made this list. I'm over the moon. This is incredible. Just the everything's shifting here, and it feels right, doesn't it, Nate?
I don't know if right is the correct word, but
Right.
it feels like something for sure. Best for hits, Jeremy Lauzon, pretty clear why. Luke Shen, also in Nashville there, can do that for you. Will Cooley, we talked about before. Keegan Colasar, we talked about before. And Martin Pospisil, Blake's favorite player. Best for blocks, going over to Vegas, they got guys who do that. Zach Whitecloud actually is their best guy for blocks so far this year, so that could be a look there. Braden McNabb, a little bit more well-rounded with hits and blocks, so you could look that way. Jacob Truba, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Martin Fairvary, all guys who like to block a lot. Jacob Truba, yeah, dipping under 50%
Yeah.
rostered
Wild stuff.
in Yahoo, so it does make the cut here. Anybody else that you'd like to shout out for some banger stats here, Blake?
You know damn well there is, buddy. Beefer Sherwood. How? How did you miss this, Nate? This man is incendiary. He gets out there, he's just blasting people into the board. So yeah, Kiefer Sherwood, you got to throw him on there as well, just for hits anyway.
Yeah, if you can fit him in on the Thursday and Saturday heavy nights, then for sure Kiefer Sherwood would get to the top of the list because he is doing that. But yeah, it is a little bit contingent on that. If he's not going to make your lineup, he's not going to get you the hits. So that'll do it for the Dream Streams. Let's get over to Hold Me. Now, Blake, Hold Me is the segment where we talk about all the players that we want to hold, the men that we would like to hold the very most amongst all the men. There are a lot of forwards out there that are still worth rostering. I said pretty much the exact same thing, word for word, last week. Still true. Brian Rust, 42% rostered. How can this be?
Make any
This
sense?
will change very quickly, but if he did get dropped in your league, if your league has only a couple IR spots or something like that, and he did get dropped, then he's absolutely a priority at the moment. JJ Paterka, Gabriel Velarde, Logan Stankoven, I had to put some respect on his name. The guy's been just going off. Marchenko, Byfield, Dorofiev, all in here. I still got a lot of faith in Marchenko in the long term, but I have to put some respect on what Byfield and Dorofiev have been doing in the short term here. Josh Norris, Troy Terry, Sean Monahan. Still got love for Nick Schmaltz down here. Still got love for Yegor Chinnikov and Yegor Sharangovich. Casey Middlestat, Logan Cooley, who I still think by the end of the season could be one of their better offensive players there in Utah. And then Matthew Nyes, obviously on the list, but rapidly increasing his rostership on Yahoo. Who's your favorite out of here? Anybody that you'd like to nominate to move up the list, Blake?
No, it's a great list actually. I love that you're sort of bringing attention to Logan Cooley. He got almost 20 minutes the other night. Like they're upping his minutes there, and I think that's a great thing. I totally agree with your take there. Gabe Velarde too has been a really good piece, but how the hell is Brian Rust and JG Paterka rostered under 50%? It doesn't make a bit of sense.
Have to agree there. Sub 20% rostered. We are starting to get to the point now where it feels pretty icky once you get down below 20% rostered, or at least kind of getting to that level in the season. It takes a while for everybody to figure out who should be rostered at which levels. I still think there's lots of guys below 50%, but if we're getting down to this level, you're talking about your Barrett Haytons, your William Eklunds, who did see a bit of a demotion in the last game, so that's something I'm watching before picking him up, but I still think the future is bright for the rest of the season for the player. PLD is just under 20% rostered. You hope that he gets a little bit more of a piece of what Wilson and McMichael are doing moving forward. Fantilli, Eberle, Gauthier, Garland, all these guys I think can be rostered. I will say Gauthier is a guy it's pretty unbelievable how few goals. Like he doesn't have a goal on the season.
Yep.
13 games, 0 goals, and yet he's first in the entire league in shot attempts per 60. He's been chucking the puck. It just has not been going in. Feel bad for the guy, obviously, in his rookie year here. But I think the dam will break at some point here, and he could actually turn into a really nice piece. So I am still interested in Cutter Gauthier for sure. Sub 10%, yeah, it gets dicey for sure, but Jack Roslovic is still only 7% rostered despite the recent hot stretch. So it's a good week, obviously, if you want to take that swing and hope that he builds this into more of a season long thing. I have my doubts about that, but I have my doubts about everybody that's under the 10% rostered mark here. Kirby Doc, Ryan Hartman, Max Pacioretty, Cole Sillinger. Um, the Sillinger thing is kind of interesting. Like he's still hanging on to the top power play, which obviously gives him some interest playing with Adam Fantilli in the last game for the Blue Jackets as well. The underlying metrics are not great, but Cole Sillinger getting some prime deployment. Warren Fogle as well. I wanted to add to the list. Seems like they might have found a little bit of chemistry there with the LaFerriere and Byfield line. I'd be interested to see if they can kind of parlay that together. The underlying stats look really good for that line, so interested in those guys. Any favorites from the lower rostered players here, Blake?
I mean, no favorites. I do like William Eklund actually. That and Connor Garland. I think those are two players that are primed to go here. Obviously, like you said, Eklund got that demotion there to the fourth line, but I think he'll be back up getting his regular load there. And yeah, I'm kind of excited. I want to do an episode here soon with cream of the crop of like really low rostered players that we need to look out for. So yeah, I'm interested in these players that you mentioned here.
Right. Moving over to defense, my number one defenseman right now is still Zellweger, still just 5% rostered. Doesn't make any sense to me. Even with the 2 game week upcoming, I still think he's worth picking up. I think he is going to be just that good. That's my take. Sticking to it. Justin Falk, 36% rostered here. Obviously been declining. He hasn't been able to put the biscuit in the basket, as some might say, but I still have some faith here. The underlying stats have actually come up a little bit as of late for Justin Falk, but it still hasn't resulted in anything. He's getting 24 minutes a night. Yeah, he does stuff. He does good stuff for fantasy purposes, shoots, hits, blocks, does all of that. Just needs some pucks to go in the net, and I think they will sooner rather than later. OEL, I know he's not on the top power play, but he's playing for a good offensive team in Toronto. I still think he'll get some points. Similar story for Owen Power there. Jamie Drysdale hanging on to power play 1 for longer than I thought he would.
Yeah.
Hasn't really been able to translate that into a lot of point scoring. But as long as he's on top power play, I'll give him a look when I need a low roster defenseman. Lane Hudson, Travis Sanheim, and I did include Jake Wallman. I'm concerned about Wallman, but there is still some upside there, especially if he were able to get back on top power play, so I didn't want to leave him off entirely. Sub 20% rostered. Obviously, Zellweger is going to top that list, but Liljegren, I think I have to add here with top power play usage, still just 1% rostered. Nobody's excited about this guy, but yeah, getting over 20 minutes in the last game, still hanging on to power play deployment there. Have some interest in that. Damon Severson, Matt Roy is back for Washington, and with Washington rolling the way they are, I think that Roy could, provide a little bit of value. He does provide a lot of periffs. Shots, stuff like that. He does do a little bit of all of that. So I think there's some value there in deeper leagues. And Hampus Lindholm as well has actually been showing out a little bit. If you take a look, just in the last little bit, he's got a couple goals. He's got 3 points in the last 5 games. 8th in individual scoring chances, 4/60 amongst all defensemen. 21.5 minutes. Average time on ice. Like, is there a chance with how bad McAvoy's season has gone that he gets on the top power play over McAvoy at some point? I don't think you can rule that out. So, yeah, in deeper leagues, you could do worse than Hampus Lindholm. Anything about the defenseman here, Blake?
No. You know what I'd love though? I mentioned that Hampus Lindholm like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and I got a fair enough. All right. So now this is what we call vindication right here. All right. This man's a legend. He's a league winner. No, he's not. But yeah, shout out to Hampus Lindholm. I like Owen Power too. Actually, I think he's playing a little bit better than I expected this year. So that's a guy that I think is absolutely rosterable.
Agreed. Let's move over to the goaltenders. It's pretty rough. I won't lie to you right now. Some weeks it seems like there's some pretty interesting guys out there, and then some weeks it seems much less so. Charlie Lindgren still in a true 50-50 there with Logan Thompson. But you can definitely do worse than Charlie Lindgren, in my opinion. Dustin Wolf and Sam Montembeault both at 43% rostered. Wolf does also seem to be in a bit of a tandem with Vladar there, but Montembeault is getting a little bit of volume here. So obviously it's Montreal. You're not excited about the potential results all the time, but if volume is what you're after, if you have a forgiving point system and you just need a bunch of shots, then Montembeault might be able to do that for you. Sub 25% rostered Urson, obviously pending his return to the Flyers lineup here, but I do think he'll get some volume, and so that makes him interesting to me. Petr Mrazek, again, just a guy getting volume for Chicago there. And Elvis Merzlikins, give me your temperature on Elvis Merzlikins now, Blake. It's obviously he had like that 1 week where it was pretty terrific. And then he had a game where he gave up 6 goals, albeit on 44 shots. And then he comes back against San Jose and allows 2 goals on 27 shots there. Does sustain a loss there because Columbus couldn't score. But where's your current temperature on Merzlikins, and would you consider picking him up here?
That's a hard pass. I mean, it's just I feel like Columbus sort of started the year and with a lot to prove and emotional, right? And they came out and they've been playing pretty good, but it's been a really bad stretch. Like they lost 6-2, 7-2, and then they lost a close one 2-1 with Merzlikins in net. So I don't know. I think it could be a rough situation. Like this is like a Lucas Dostal situation with Elvis Merzlikins, only he's not showing out the way that Dostal is, right? So it's just a decent goalie on a bad team. And yeah, I mean, slim pickings basically. If you need a goalie start and there's no one else there and Merzlikins is there, sure, grab him. But I'm probably avoiding Merzlikins at this point.
It's fair enough. I will note the next few opponents for the Blue Jackets. They play LA and Anaheim back to back Saturday,
California.
Sunday. So that's all right. And then they go play Seattle, Pittsburgh, and Montreal next week. Like the next run of opponents do not look all that terrifying. If you're looking for a goaltender, I think you could probably do worse than Merzlikins. I also want to mention Tristan Jarry. I don't like to do this. Blomqvist, actually. Joel Blomqvist had a nice little night for himself here for Pittsburgh. Got the win there, but yeah, Tristan Jarry. So he's been in the AHL, kind of rehabbing his game, as it were. He's played in 5 games, won 4 of them. He's got a 926 save percentage down there.
Yeah.
So I mean, what if he comes back and he's fully figured out whatever it was that's going on? I don't think that's out of the range of possibilities. I do think it's unlikely, but I wanted to mention him here. I think that at some point they're going to have to get him back. They have money into this guy. They're going to have to get him back with the big club and at least see what he's got.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it doesn't go well, but maybe it goes well enough that he can actually be something for you. He's been NA on Yahoo, so he's definitely been dropped in your leagues. But keep an eye out for his return. There's, I believe it's a 2 week expiry period on how long he can be down in the AHL, so that's coming up. And so Jari could be back next week for the Pens. How excited are you, Blake, personally, for Tristan Jari?
I mean, I think it's a great point. He's 10% rostered. Like, Pittsburgh is, I think they're figuring some stuff out here. They looked okay tonight here. But I mean, excited is not the right word. But yeah, they obviously feel really comfortable though with Nedeljkovic in there. Like he's starting a bunch of games in a row. So it's going to be tough. He's going to have to come in. It's like a Georgiev situation, only Jari actually got sent down, right? So he's going to have to come in, put some good starts together, but 10% roster, what's the risk? Like it feels pretty good to me.
Yeah, I will note as well, Pittsburgh over the last 7 games that they've played over the last 2 weeks here, they rank 6th in the league in Corsi for percentage at even strength and 6th in scoring chance for percentage. So, yeah, definitely under the hood looking all right at even strength there. Let's move on. We got to talk, unfortunately, about the head-to-head streamer deathmatch.
Oh yeah.
And Unfortunately, Blake took Alex Laferriere, and I thought that Troy Terry would do things for me, and so it's not looking good. We don't need to talk about this anymore, do we, Blake?
You know what? You always rush me through this segment here, and you know what? I'm going to allow it again this week because we got a beefer episode here. But buddy, Alex Laferriere for the win. All right, one more game left. Do you think Troy Terry can overtake the strength of Alex Laferriere, Nate?
Oh, obviously, it's a four goal game coming up, guaranteed.
You know what? I'd be here for it. I got Troy Terry in 2 spots. That would work out well for me. I'll take 1 L in the streamer death match. That's fine because I know what the ultimate outcome is going to be. All right, that's fine.
All right. Well, we do need to make some picks for the upcoming week, Blake. Who will be your head-to-head streamer deathmatch pick for week 6? That is currently rostered 25% or under on Yahoo.
You know damn well who I'm taking. I'm taking our boy Pavel Dorofiev. We got to do it. Great schedule for him this week. He's getting insane deployment. The metrics are great. What's not to like?
I think that's fair. I told you before that I was really not enjoying my options, especially among the 4 games played. Yeah, nothing looks good to me here, but I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with Jack Roslovic. I
Oh
don't think
way!
this
Oh
is a guy that's gonna sustain anything for any period of time, but he's hot at the moment. I'm hoping it lasts 4 more games for me, and I can take you down in week 6. All right. Well, if you made it this far, you should definitely check out the description, click the link, join the Discord community, like, rate, review, subscribe, comment. All of that really does help us out, but that is going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully, it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band there for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.